Hi everyone, this is Kristie Taylor. Today I'm going to share with you a super easy project that comes out so magnificent it looks like you labored over it for hours and hours. I had already started playing here whenever I decided to record, but this is a flat artist panel specifically made for alcohol inks, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below. And this is one of my stencils from stencilgirl.com. And you can find those at stencilgirl.com. This one is a 30-point mandala is the name of the stencil. Now, some of these alcohol inks are mine, like a homemade recipe, and they're super shimmery, and I've just put them back into the Ranger bottles, and some of them are Ranger though. So what you need to do is, first I taped off the edges of the canvas with some painter's tape. This is purple tape from Thermoweb, and I taped all the way around the outside, and then I taped the stencil in place. That part seems to be really important with this technique on this kind of a board. I got this idea from Mary Beth Shaw, who is the owner of Stencil Girl Products, and she does this sort of technique on Yupo paper. But I actually had the idea to put this on a panel and then resin over it because I just love the way it looks so much. So what you do is tape your stencil in place. You don't have to put anything on the board at all. You don't have to prep it. And then just start dripping on alcohol inks. Now you don't want to use too much. You don't want to flood it, but you want to get just enough on there that it can spread under the stencil design. So here I'm just filling in the cracks. I've used my homemade blue, which is super shimmery and beautiful, and my homemade purple. And then this green is actually the Ranger brand, the Tim Holtz Ranger brand. So now I'm just filling in some of the white spots. And you just do little drips here and there, and then use the tip of the bottle to kind of spread it around. Like I said, you don't want too much. Now this is my heat tool, and I've got it on a low setting because if I use it on a high setting, it's going to melt my stencil. We don't want that. Now I'm just pulling off the tape that has the stencil glued in place, and it's going to be kind of stuck to the board if your ink is dry because the alcohol ink sticks to the design of the stencil. So you can see it's kind of stuck there, but look how gorgeous that is. Is that not gorgeous? Oh, I just love it. So easy. So easy and comes out so gorgeous. So you could play with this idea in like layering different stencils on top of each other, or just do it like this on a small board and just one stencil. Here I'm just filling in a couple more of the white spots. Then once that was done, I pulled the purple tape by Thermoweb off of there. This tape is great for this technique because it doesn't allow any seep under. It sticks really well, but it doesn't damage your surface or leave any sticky glue behind. So I'm just filling in some of the white spots. And then we want to make sure this is completely dry before we move on. And I did dry it with a heat tool and then decided that it probably needed to cure for at least 24 hours before I added the resin. So I did let it sit there. It actually ended up being about 48 hours, about 2 days. So I forgot to show the part where I took the tape off and filled in those spots. But what I did was I just dipped the paintbrush in the alcohol ink and painted it on the spots where the tape was. I'm trying to record on my phone, and sometimes if I get a phone call or somebody tags me on Facebook, it just stops recording, and that's kind of annoying. But anyway, what I have here is Amazing Clear Cast, which is a 2-part epoxy resin by Alumilite. So what you do is there's a part A and a part B, and you mix equal parts together. You stir it completely for at least 3 minutes. You want to keep stirring until you see no more striations in the liquid. It should be a completely clear liquid. And you want to stir fairly slowly so that you don't incorporate a bunch of bubbles. So you'll see me stirring for a little while here, and then I'll scrape the sides every now and then and scrape the bottom and stir it until it's completely clear. And then once you've stirred it and it's completely clear for at least 3 minutes, set it aside and give it a minute to do what we call degas. And what that does is any bubbles that you've incorporated by stirring, it gives some of them a chance to escape. Now you can see that I've got a couple of cards sitting up there too, which is some other stuff that I was working on. And I wanted to use any leftover resin to add to those. But I did take that part out of the video. I didn't figure you guys really want to see that. So I've completely stirred my resin. I've incorporated it very well. It's all mixed up really good. And I'm going to set it down and let it sit for 5 minutes so we can degas. I skipped past that part so you guys didn't have to watch the empty cup sit there, or the full cup. Alright, so now it's degassed. I'm going to give it one final stir, scraping the sides and scraping the bottom. And then we're going to pour some onto our artwork. I'm going to use my popsicle stick and kind of spread it out. Now I'm just pushing it up to the edge because I don't want it to go over the edge. Because, you know, the path of least resistance, if you've never heard that before, the resin will follow. So if it goes over the edge, it's going to keep going over the edge. And resin's expensive. We don't want to waste that stuff. So I'm just using the popsicle stick to spread it out and push it all the way up to the edge. This is a self-leveling resin, so it makes it real easy to do what we call a flood coat or a top coat, which is what we're doing here. And it'll give you a nice dome if you don't go over the edge. A dome is where it's slightly raised from the surface. So if we just push it up to the edge and not over the edge, then it'll dome up for us. Just enough to cover it, not enough to go all the way over the sides. So once that's done, I'm going to get my handy dandy torch here, and we're just going to use it on a low setting and just run it over the resin. And you might can see it in the video how it pops the bubbles and brings them to the surface. So what that'll do is give us a nice, smooth, glass-like finish in the end. And I'm actually going to do that twice. And that, my friends, is all there is to making that gorgeous artwork. It looks so hard, but it's actually so easy. Please give me a thumbs up if you like my video. Follow my YouTube channel for more inspiration. I play with alcohol inks quite a bit, and of course stencils. And I also have a Patreon. If you would like to follow me on Patreon, I would love that. That would be great if I could get your support there. I desperately need a video camera, so maybe one day I could get a decent camera. There's a few little close-ups for you. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. Remember, follow my channel and give me a thumbs up. Bye-bye.